Alright. So 3 I can override, right? 2 was done. So this is the SOA. You have to create the application, okay? And then after you install SOA plugin, if you scroll down, there you will be able to see SOA application, right? Then say click next, and first you can select any project, or you don't need to select any project, okay? And just keep it, project 1, whatever it is, and say finish. And automatically your application will be shown here and your project will be shown here. Okay, see, basically by default it will have the project 1. Okay, so what you can do is you can delete the project and remove the source code also. So now this application is an empty application. Is it an empty application? Yes. Now if you want to create a project, you can right click here, say new project, okay, say new project, and when you go to this thing, you have several tiers. If you go to the SOA tier, you have SOA applications, or you can go to the all technologies, or all items, then you scroll down, there will be a SOA application somewhere, SOA project, or you can just SOA tier and there is a SOA, alright, create a SOA project. And now you can say that, say hello application, okay, say hello project, sorry, not the application, this project is inside the application, right click and say that first you create empty composite, so that means it has no components inside, okay.
Is there any concept behind, first initially we need to create the application and then the project? Is there any logic behind the application and then the project?
That is a hierarchy, right? Projects are there in the application. You cannot have any project without the application.
Application, right? Here it is a workspace. It creates a workspace.
No, inside the workspace again you have set of applications. Okay. Again the set of applications are there inside. Okay. Alright, so in this, now you can actually create your BPEL process, or anything that you want. Okay, so say, let us say, to create anything, so what you need is XSD and WSDL, right? Okay, so first try to create the XSD WSDL, okay, and then create a service and then create a component. Okay, first create this thing XSD and then service, then WSDL. Okay, first new SOA content, new, so I will say go to the XML technology, where it is XML, I will create XSD, right? So this XSD name I will give as say hello XSD, okay, and where it is going to create it, and see here it has a directory structure, right? And generally XSD files will be placed in the XSD directory, XSLT will be placed in the XSLT directory, WSDL files will be placed in the main root directory. Yeah, that means the say hello directory. Okay, but XSD I want to place it in the XSD directory. Alright, and then here you can give the target namespace. So what target namespace? http://sanari.com, right? /say hello. And now you can give the prefix, otherwise it will generate with the default namespace. So give the namespace as obj. By default it generates the Windows character set. So first go to the source code, immediately you change it to UTF-8 or UTF-16. So I am not using any special character. There is some problem with the UTF-16, so I am using UTF-8 here. Might be some editor issue. Okay, alright, and then you delete what all the items you have and just keep it clean. Okay, and go here, see if you have the prefix XSD and see the processing instructions, everything proper. Okay, and the important thing is you have to check elements from default and attribute from default in what? Now see the namespaces you have. Target namespace, this thing, and this one exists. Is it everything clear? Okay, and then you need to create the complex type, then the element, or vice versa. First you need to create the complex type. Okay, so try to hand code it and don't generate it by the tool actually. Okay, so complex type, what I would say hello, I would say request type. Okay, say hello request type, and what it has only some name out here. What was that? It says the element sequence, right? What is the name? Name of the person. Okay, name is also name. What is the type? Alright, and then you can create an element for this, and you can have the documentation here. XSD annotations. XSD documentation. You can give what documentation? Yeah, some can give some documentation right here. Student request type, some documentation you can actually give. That's here, and then XSD element. Name of the element is what? Now you don't give the key. And now what is the type here? OBJ. Alright. Okay. Inside the composite, this is the composite name, and by default it will be in the active mode. State will be on. Okay, and it has couple of it has the XML NS. Okay, you can change it to composite, but the problem is if you design time, if you change anything again, this will be changed. Okay, at least we can try giving some namespace prefix. Okay, so you can give it as composite, right? So I can what namespace prefix, what you want me to put? COMP means component or composite. Okay, you can give it as a COMP and use the prefix here. Okay, this is the first thing you can use. And this UI, whatever the properties with this UI namespace, it is actually used by the user interface. That means the JDeveloper. Okay, not used by this thing. Okay, and this is the access means XML schema. If you open this, you have this 2001 XML schema, and here you have 2001 XML schema, but it is showing access. And is it consistent, the namespace prefix? No. It is XSD. You have w3.org. Here you are using XSD, here you are using XX. There is no consistency. Okay, so you have to maintain the consistency. Here this is web services policies, and you are not using it anywhere, so you can leave it like this. Okay, and if you have WSDL, where is the WSDL? If you are importing it as a WSDL, you can put as a wisdom and maintain the consistency. After this thing, you can enter this thing. Okay. Alright, and you can also put SCR and the OBJ also, but we hardly use them in your composite. Alright, and after that you can create a service. Alright, what is a service? Can create the service, and see here, this is the service name that is going to use by the time it creates a complete result, right? And you have to be very sure with the naming conventions here, right? What naming conventions here? Say hello, I always use S or SCR as an external service. Okay, so I would use SCR, or right now we can follow S, or whatever the service name you want to use. And inside this, what you have? Interface dot wisdom. Okay, and what is the interface? You have to give the namespace of the wisdom. What was the namespace? Where is the wisdom? Target namespace. Okay, and this, and it has the interface name, right? What is the interface name? It is a hash, right? What is the interface name it has? Alright. Alright. And before that has to be imported, right? And again we have to use import. What is the namespace for that? What is the namespace of the wisdom? This is the namespace. Alright. And what is the type of this? Yeah, I'm coming back. What is the type here? What is the location? In the same directory, what is the name? Say hello dot wisdom. And next you have type. Where is the type? You have import type. Okay. What is the import type? Is the wisdom. Now this is imported. And here I think there is some issue with the, is it the same way that we generate, or interface wisdom dot interface of say hello hi. This is the way, right? Okay. And after that what do you have? Component dot isn't it closed? Alright. What is the binding? Web service. And here what we'll use? Interface, right? What was where it was? Okay. So what is the port? up to here, interface, and copy, and of what? Service name, right? What is the service name? This service name slash port name we give. Okay, what is the port? I can say hello hyphen p. Okay, and with this name it is going to generate. Okay, is it port or service? Is it interface or service? Are you sure? Endpoint, right? It is the endpoint. It is the endpoint, right? It is the endpoint. It is not the port. Right? There are properties. So one is the interface, next one is the endpoint. So you are binding the endpoint for which this service and this port. And for port I use P. Alright, and that's it. If you go to the design mode, it has some, what it is saying, is done. Okay, so it's saying some component. So it has the binding. So see, it has messed up. It has put the interface dot binding interface. It has messed up the component right. Okay. So it has messed up the default namespace. Is it? It's already messed it up. Okay, because the binding is not the element, right? We have to use where is the XML come SOAIntro3. It is again SOAIntro3, right? So that is a problem. Basically, again you have to change all this stuff. So again it is not understand. So there is a confliction actually. UI understands only the default namespace. Okay, it cannot understand SOAIntro3. So it is forcing me to remove the namespace prefix, which is again wrong, but still have no other way, right? Okay. Now it is shown properly, right? So it is because the UI cannot read the namespace prefix, right? So, but unfortunately, having the namespace prefix, with having the default namespace is against to the industry standards. Okay, industry standard means you will face some issues. If you come into situations like that. So it has become a best practice not to use a default namespace in any of the XML, composite.xml or Visual or Beeple or anything. But unfortunately, the J developer will not understand. Okay, so and you can, those are conflicting statements, right? So that is the reason, especially J developer is very strict with the composite.xml, beeple.xml, component type, right? So you cannot actually do that. Okay, so that is the reason, at least for these things, you can follow it. There are some situations like where you need to change the namespace for these two also. By that time you can change it, but if you go and change anything from the UI, again it will replace. Okay, again it will mess up. So that is the reason there are difficulties, challenges in this, but you can follow. It is forcing me to do it, so I have to do it, right? So now I have defined the service. Okay, do I have a component here? I just have the service. Do I have a component to work with? No. I need to create a component. Okay, I need to create a component. So if I need to create a component, what type of component do you actually need? So first we will create a beeple component. And we'll attach this beeple to the service. Okay, we'll create a beeple component and we'll attach here. Okay, so beeple I will not show you hard code, so because it is taking some time, and from the UI also you can do that. Okay, see, whatever the service that we have done it here, and you can do it from the UI also, the user interface also. You just need to drag and drop here, give the service name, say hello service SS triple S I'm putting, and put it as a service, select the WSDL file, and you are done. Okay, and if you go to this, it will show you two services now, but you don't have the control on the port type and the other stuff. See, this is exactly doing what we have done, right? It is not doing anything more, right? Okay, only the problem is you do not have a control on the port type. So here we have a control on the port type, right? So that is the reason I don't use the user interface. I always use the source code. Okay, and there is one more thing. If you want to create a direct binding for this, if you want to create direct binding, if you don't want to create a WSDL binding, SOAP binding, what you can do in place of this is the comment, right? Where is the end? You go here and you can do binding dot direct. This is one simple way of doing it. Okay, and if you want to do a direct binding from the UI, you have something called direct binding service. Okay, say hello SSS something, and it's always a service. Say hello here, and if you go here, it does the same thing, right? So instead of going to the UI and selecting the different this thing, what I always prefer is just go to the source code and change it. Then you are not dependent upon the tools, right? And make sure as much as possible you do not use the tool. Okay, and now I am going to create it as a web service and not the web service over HTTP binding, not the T3 binding. So that is the reason I use it, right? You actually don't need this UI WSDL location. It is just for the local thing. And make sure you have the UI prefix defined. Okay, right? Now go back to the thing, and to create a component, there are variety of components here: beeple, business rule, human task, and a mediator. Okay, so if you want to create a beeple, you can drag and drop here. Okay, and beeple is also one more XML file. Okay, and it also requires the namespace. Okay, and the name, and here I give the beeple name, say hello, and I can say B means it's a beeple, right? And give the namespace. What is the namespace? Slash beeple slash say hello. And you can actually remove this because it qualifies to the namespace, right? Again, it has changed. Okay. Slash practice slash people slash. And here, don't let your JDeveloper creates XSD and Visual for you, right? And create Beeple based on your Visual file. Okay, what is the Visual file that you have? Say hello Visual file. Okay, and remember inside the Beeple, the service name is different. Okay, inside the Beeple, the service name is different. Outside it is different. Outside we had put yes. Okay, internally what I will put is, I would still follow say hello. Okay, I would put service internal SI. Okay, and do you want to create external service? External service is already created, so you don't create it now. External service we have already created, and now it is the internal service. And what is the service name? Internal service name? Yes, I. For external it is yes, right? And what is the interface that you are implementing? Service I. And now see here what files it generates. Go to the source. It has generated just the component and the component source file. Okay, implementation.beeple and source it has given. Okay, but apart from this, it has generated two files, .beeple file, .component type. First open the .component file, and it still follows the same compositor namespace, but it is just the component type, and it has a service. Where is it? It has gone?
This is not the project.
Oh, it is not? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and see the service name. Say hello SI and visual location. See here it just has the interface. Okay, and say hello interface. Does it has a binding? No, we don't need it. Okay, and now this is the component SCA architecture up till this point. And the next thing is the actual Beeple process that we are going to see. Next thing is the Beeple process we are going to see. And again, Beeple process is the XML. It is not the any other language. It is the XML, right? So we have a brief introduction about the Beeple architecture. Okay, structure of Beeple language, and then we'll come here. Okay.
Here it says synchronous Beeple process, SOAIntro3, but they are given based upon our details.
Yeah, who cares the comment? Okay, so you can remove all this stuff, it's like developer stuff, and you can do the author, and it's always good you can generate the author and all this stuff. Okay, so but let us come to this thing, and then we'll declare. Then we'll see actually what is the Beeple process and how it works. Okay. Alright. So basically Beeple is a language, right? Beeple is a language, and it is as good as any structured language. Okay. Do anybody know sequential language, structured language, object-oriented language, declarative language, the difference between all this? Okay, first generation language, second generation language, third generation language, fourth generation language. Now this is the fifth generation declarative language. Okay, So BPEL is a declarative language. It's a 5th generation language, right? And but still it follows some features of the structured language. It follows some features of the structured language. Okay. Not even structured language. I can say procedural language, kind of procedural language. Okay. So structured language in the sense COBOL is a structured language. It's not a procedural language. And C is a procedural language. You have functions and all this stuff. Okay. It's a procedural language, a little advanced than the structured language. Okay. So and BPEL actually it shares something like it's a declarative language. It's a 5th generation language, but it has all the features as if you have it for any procedural language, right? So I mean it has local scope, global scope, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I think that your whole BPEL process, it's a programming, it's a one programming unit. Okay. And inside that you have the global scope basically. So and BPEL also has a variables and kind of functions kind of stuff. I mean local paragraphs and kind of stuff, and it has the variables and all the other stuff, right? So I mean if you say open C language, and if you declare variable, that is actually a global variable, right? Okay. So here I mean you have the root tag for this. It's called process. So process means it's your BPEL process, right? Inside you are going to do all this stuff. Okay. And it's kind of one C program or one Pascal or anything, right? It's one full process, right? And inside this process, what all you can have, and you can have all features as if you can have it for your procedural language. Okay. So first thing is you can declare variables. Sorry. First thing is you can declare variables. Okay. So variable is again type of variables. Definitive type, non-definitive type variables in nature, right? So in JavaScript, is it a definitive type or non-definitive type? Huh? In Java, in JavaScript, do you know what is definitive type and non-definitive type? Okay. Okay, right. So anybody work with JavaScript? Okay, you just give the where and the name. Do you give the type of the variable? No. It can take any type basically. That is a non-definitive type variable, right? It's kind of non-definitive type. You can give any value out of it. But in Java or C, it's a strict data type. I mean, it's a definitive type variable. That means you have to give the type of the variable. So in the similar fashion, BPEL is a definitive type variable. Okay, whatever the variables you give, you have to give the type, right? So in the XML world, what do you mean by the type? What do you mean by the type? It's a string, complex type, or the element kind of type, right? So it's a string, complex type, or the element type, or whatever it is, isn't it? That's what the definitive type you say. Okay. And in variables, you can create. There are three varieties of types over here. The one is you can directly create a variable name for a simple data types like string, integer, or kind of stuff. These are still like some XSD types, right? And the next thing is you can create type of a variable element of an XSD element. You can create the type of an XSD element. Okay. And third type is you can create the type for WSDL message type. There are three types available for variables. What are those? One is the simple type. Okay. What is the simple type? Simple XSD types. String, XSD colon string, XSD colon integer kind of thing. The second thing is the element type. Next thing is the element type. So when you say the element, what it goes, you have to refer the element. So in XSD we have created the student object and student request object, say hello object, and that one. Okay, that is one part. The next thing is what? A message. So in your wisdom, you might have created a message, right? In your wisdom, you might have created a message, right? You can create a variable for that. You can create a variable for that. Okay. And when to use message type, when to use XSD type, when to use simple types. Okay. First we'll discuss about the message type. So when you are implementing a BPEL process, to implement a web service, you are writing a BPEL process to implement a web service. A web service has the operation, and you are listening to that operation. You are implementing a particular operation, right? And that operation has input or the output of the messages. Okay. When you want to capture that information into a variable, okay. So what does that mean? When a user requests a web service with some document, that will be landed into your service, and service it will come to your BPEL. So basically it's all visual interaction. Okay. So when your BPEL want to capture that information, you have to create a variable against your message, right? And so when you have some intermediate operations, let us say like your message, assume that your WSDL is processing list of students, right? That means your message is a list of students, right? And inside the BPEL for processing individual student, you may need some intermediate variables, right? And that can hold only one single student, not the all students. Instead of going through the whole message line, you can create a variable to hold one single student that is defined as an element in your access, right? And you can create, by the time you can create a variable of element type. And there are some more intermediate variables. Let us say you want to calculate the total and put it in a variable. So calculation of the total means it's just a simple type, it's not a complex type. So then you can create a variable against simple type. Okay, so the structure here is variable. You have to create variables inside that variable, name of the variable, okay. And any BPEL process, the naming convention is, if the BPEL process is implementing a web service operation, if it is receiving something, and you can name it as a input variable, or you can just say input or input v, some postfix value. Okay, and now this is the name. And now tell me you are receiving something, and is it an element type, or is it a message type, or is it a simple type? It is a message type. So you have to give message and say what message. Go to your this thing. Go to your, where is the visitor? So what is the message name? Request message. Okay. And what is the namespace prefix for this? Because by itself it is not a qualified name. Is it a qualified name? No, it cannot refer. Okay, so it has to have a namespace. So then you have to create a namespace prefix first, then the namespace. So where do you create the namespace prefixes? Generally?
The root element.
Root element. Say what is the root element here? So we'll create a namespace prefix here. Okay, so what you do is XML NS str is equal to what is the namespace here? Say hello. Okay, and now you can use str, right? In fact, you can put any namespace prefix here, and you have to use the same thing. Okay, it is not just that we have to use the same thing. For the consistency sake, I am using it here. Alright, and if you want to create for the object, then you have to create XMLNS for obj, and then you can create obj colon student req. This is for element. Then here instead of message, what it will come? It will be element. Okay, so I will write that also. I'm creating one more this thing. I'm just putting, temporary variable or intermediate variable. Here it is what? Element. Here it is what? Obj. Let's see. But we have to declare the obj, right? Where is that obj? Go to the XSD, bring it here. Alright. So you will create a set of variables here. Okay. And now, do you know the main process in C language? Okay. So in the similar fashion, it has to start with some main, procedure actually. So in Beeple, you have something called sequences and the scopes. Okay. Sequence is like a paragraph in a COBOL. Scope is like a procedure in a C language. Okay. The difference between these two is when it is a paragraph, you are just grouping the lines, but it cannot hold variables. Can it? No, there is no local variable and global variable like that. Okay, so you cannot hold it. Okay, that is the sequence. You can hear in a Beeple, you can use both. Okay, you can use both. So first it will be, we'll say that a paragraph kind of stuff, that is nothing but a sequence, because you are giving set of commands. Okay, and that set of commands I have to group them into a sequence, the kind of paragraph in COBOL language. And sequence has a name. Alright, so let us say that you want to transfer the funds, and that includes debit of one account, credit of another account. So that sequence includes two activities, right? So then I can combine both the two activities into a sequence by name transfer of funds. Okay, so when I look at the name, I understand that this sequence is used for transfer of funds. Okay, likewise you can divide any number of sequences. Okay, but at least you have one sequence per Beeple process, right? You cannot have leave the instructions in the space. At least you should have one sequence in your Beeple process. So generally you have like main function, right? So in the similar fashion, people will name it as main. Okay, it is not necessary that you should give only the main. You can give any name. Okay, but under this process, I have one sequence. You cannot have more number of sequences in the same level. Okay, inside this sequence, you can again divide, another sequences. Inside this sequence, you can divide into step A sequence, step 2 sequence, and kind of stuff. But at least under the process, you should have only one sequence item. But inside the sequence, you can have multiple sequences. So this sequence is the place where you are writing all your commands. The sequence is the place.
One sequence is mandatory.
One sequence is mandatory in one process. Okay. This min occurrence, max occurrence is 1 inside the process element. Okay, and inside this you can actually give all the commands. Alright. Okay. So are you clear at least this point up to this point? Okay. So basically you have process, set of variables, and then you are actually working with them. And these variables you call it as a global variables. Okay. And if you want to create a small procedure kind of stuff, you create something called scope. Create something called scope. A scope has a name, some name. Okay, the difference between the scope and the sequence is, the scope is kind of procedure. It holds what? It can hold variables. Right? It can hold variable. right? And inside the scope again I have sequence. Sequence to process with these variables and the other variables. Okay, assume that here I have the same, TB variable, temporary variable of a different type. Okay, anytime if I refer variable TB here, where it goes? Will it goes to here or there? It goes to the local. Okay, if you refer input B, where it goes? It goes to the top, because that variable is not declared here. So scope is something like, it's like a procedure, and you can say it as a transaction also, because in BPEL we have something called compensation that can be attached to a scope. Okay, so that is the reason wherever there is a logical transactional boundary, wherever there is a logical transaction boundary, there you can use a scope. Okay, but otherwise within the same BPEL process you can do it. Okay, you will learn more about the scope in our further sessions. For now, assume that it has a kind of different stored procedure or different procedure. It has its own variable space, it has its compensation space and all this. Okay, for now we'll direct this, right? Alright, and before that we have something called partner links. You can have number of partner links. Okay, before that, before the variables, you have to follow the same sequence. Declare the partner links, then the variables, then the sequence. Okay, right? And at this phase, after the partner link, and you may also have something called fault handler also. That's a different story. Okay, kind of exception on exception when others. Okay, and that will be given immediately after the partner link. You have the called fault handlers, and kind of fault handler and the fault. Okay, so that is a different story that we'll discuss when the fault handler comes. So now first we'll discuss partner link. Right? Tell me what is the partner. So basically, before SOA 11G, we have only the BPEL process. We do not have the SAR. That means there is no service, there is no rents, there is no mediator. There is no service, there is no mediator. There is no reference. You cannot create a service. Service is item of components, not the item of BPEL. Right? So BPEL is of open source specification. The language is defined. This is an open source language. If you go to the IBM SOA, IBM BPEL also, it will be very similar and the same actually. The structure is same. It is the open source language. Okay. You may implement IBM SOA, you may implement Oracle SOA, you may implement Cardi SOA, whatever the SOA, the language does not change. Okay, that means the element names that you are seeing, the process, the partner link, variables, it will not be changed. Okay, it is the standard. There might be a different graphic UI, but internal code does not change. Right? That is the reason. Try to understand the code. Okay. So in that case, what they have done is, so basically, your BPEL process cannot talk to a visitor directly, or a visitor can directly talk to your BPEL process. Okay, there what you have to do is, you have to create a partner link. What you have to do? You have to create a partner link. Okay, you have to create a partner link, and then your BPEL process can talk to that partner link. Okay, and how the partner link can be created is, so inside your WSDL, you need to create something called a partner link type. You need to create something called partner link type. So what do you mean by the partner link type and how it works? Okay, so let us say that you have two port types. Okay, so one is actually calculating subject mark or something like that. The another one is listening the result. Okay, there are two types here. Okay, So your people process is implementing one, and the other people process consuming that one. Okay, so you have to think it in a perspective that, what are you playing the implementation role, or are you playing the consumer role? Right? That it is very easy. I mean, whether it is a service or the preference. Okay, if it is a service, for what port type you are doing the service? Right? For what port type you are actually doing the service? Okay, if you are implementing something, you can implement. Okay, but that should be on a different port type. Okay, so let us say that in one port type you have 3 methods. Okay, and people cannot say that I provide the service for one operation and I consume 2 operations. No, because all 3 operations are sitting in the same port type. For that, what you have to do? You have to split into 2 port types. Okay, and you would say that I am implementing this port type and I am consuming the other port type. So that means there might be another person who will take the exactly same whistle. He will implement the other port type. It's not that you are implementing, they will implement the other port type and you will consume that. So that means one single whistle, it is playing a role of consumer and the producer. Okay, that's a very complex scenario. Okay, but don't worry about now. So assume that in a partner link type, what you are going to do is you are creating kind of roles. You are creating something called role. Okay, say that one role is directly mapped to a partner, a port type. Role is directly mapped to a port type. Okay, that means whatever the option, whatever the functions or the operations that you have defined in the port type, and those are closely attached with the role. Okay, and inside the people process, we'll say that whether this people process is playing the role or consuming the role. Okay, so inside the whistle, what we will do? We'll create a partner link type, and inside the partner link type, what we'll do? We'll create roles. Okay, and role X, role Y, role Z. Okay, and inside the people, we will create a partner link, and we'll say that whether this partner link is implementing the role or consuming the role. Okay, and implementing the role means it's a role of your people. Okay, it's a role of your people. Okay, and if it is consuming means it's a role of partner. Okay, partner has to provide the service, people is consuming that one. Okay, so how you write in the whistle is, you will write something like partner link type. I'm just throwing some example. Okay, and PART. Okay, don't go by the partner. I mean, there is a different namespace for that. There is a different namespace for that. I'm just throwing some example here. Here you will create role. Okay, name is equal to. Okay, who is that? What is that? Say hello. Implementation rule. If you have to implement. So what is the port type for this? Port type is equal to say hello. So I have only one role and you cannot consume it. So I have created a partner link type and a role here. Alright. So you have created a partner link type and a role in the whistle. So you can create any number of roles, but each role points to a port type, right? And after that, go to your people and say that you create a partner link. Create a partner link. Say that name of the partner link is say hello. So as you have seen, what is the internal service? Say hello SI. I will give the same name, and here what is the port type? You will mention what is the port type. What is the port type? Say hello I. Okay, and you will say my role here. That means Bipal is playing the role, and here you have something called partner link type. What is the partner link type? you should have a name here. Okay, say hello partner link type. Okay, and I will give this name here wherever the partner link type, and you have to give the namespace prefix. What is the namespace prefix for this? SCR colon, and you will give the name, and you will give the port type, and you will give the role, and the role is a my role or the partner role. My role. That means your people can implement this. When you say partner role, there are two things: either my role or the partner role. So when you say partner role, people can consume the wisdom. When you say my role, people can implement this system, right? Now at this time, is it a my role or partner role? It is a my role. So when you say my role, what role you are taking? Taking say hello implement. So what does this mean? Your people process is implemented. Okay, and when you see another partner link, but the role is partner role, what does that mean? Your people process invoking that one, your people process not implementing this, right? So that's how you can create a partner links. Okay, and it is same as you are creating a service and the reference. Okay, but you are doing at the composite level, but this is at the people level, and this is the open source specification. So if someone look at this thing, and it will be the same as you are defining the service at the composite level dot component type, and you are defining at the people level also. Okay, isn't it redundant? It is a redundant, right? So say SOA 11G, Oracle SOA 11G, it has come up with the SCA architecture, right? So when you define a service at the composite level, it should be inherently available for the component. However, we are wiring also. Okay, but still you have to create a partner link type in the beeple. Why? Because the beeple is a open source specification. Beeple is a open source specification, and in that open source specification, partner links and partner link type is mandatory. Okay, without this you cannot interact. You understand? So in open source, partner links, partner link type is mandatory. Without this, a beeple cannot talk to the partner. It is against the policy. So that is the reason for the backward compatibility. You know, they have to provide the partner links and partner link type. All right. So now I have defined the partner link. Okay, and after that, you know, I have to. This partner link has what? A role, right? And what is the role? Where the role is defined? Inside the wisdom. Okay, and inside the same wisdom you can define the partner link type. Okay, no issues. So or you create another wisdom, import this wisdom there, and you create a partner link type there. Okay, both ways is fine, right? Generally people will keep the partner link type separate, because the partner link types are used for only things like beeple. Okay, and I think it is used in the WebLogic, something it is there, and in that also we will use. Only very few technologies will use that, and this is again another open source specification. Okay, but it is not necessary that all of your implementation should support for that. So let us say SCA. SCA doesn't require the partner, so it requires only the WSDL and it maps it, right? So that is the reason what people do is, people will create another WSDL with the same WSDL name _ref reference. Okay, will import this WSDL in that and create the partner link type. Okay, that means they are separating it, right? Okay, so that's how someone should do it. So I remove this. Okay, and then it automatically creates the partner link type and all. Okay, and now my partner links and partner link type has created. Now what is the activity that I have to do? I have to capture the input whatever the user has given. Whatever the user has given, that I have to capture the input. Okay, for that you have something called receive activity. What do you have? A receive activity. Okay, and the name of the receive activity you can say receive. Okay, and receive, you are receiving on which partner link? You have to give the partner link name here. What is the name of the partner link? Say hello. Yes, partner link. Say hello. This side, and you have to give the prefix for this. Okay, and whatever the people process that uses, that prefix come over here. Okay, and Beeple also has the target namespace. Okay, and here it has XML and S. Okay, you have some namespace here, and people use TNS is equal to the same thing whatever you have given it here. Alright, now here what is the namespace? It will be right, and in this, and say that this partner link type, it's a role, right? Partner link has what? It's a role, my role. Okay, and in that role it is points to a port type. In that port type you have assume that it may have multiple operations, isn't it? It may have multiple operations, but what operation you are actually receiving? Okay, you have to give the operation. What is the operation name? Greetings. So there is some namespace prefix here. Okay, and whatever the input comes to this operation, you need to capture in a variable, right? And what is that variable? What is the variable we have created for that? Input D. And this is how your receive activity looks like. So what does that mean? If someone is trying to invoke this operation, automatically it will be received at the receive activity, and your variable, input variable B, will be populated, isn't it? Automatically what will be populated? Input variable B will be populated. So whatever the data that user gives, where you have it now? Variable input V, you already have it. And next, in the similar fashion, you have something called reply activity. What it is? Reply activity. And you will give the same thing, but what is the variable?
Output.
You give something called output, and for that output also you need to create one more variable. Say what is the type here? Variable. I don't need a TV, right? Output response message, right? And now what I am sending, and variable output variable. Okay, and everything is same more or less. So what I am doing, I am replying with output variable. So whatever I have defined in the output variable, that will be replied to the person who had requested this, right? So in between the information whatever the user gives, where you are capturing? Input variable B, and what you are giving? Output B. So is that output variable initialized?
No.
It is just a declared, you have not initialized. Have you? No. So you have to give some value to this, then only that value will be given. So what we are saying is, what we are saying in the reply activity is, reply whatever the data inside the output V, you give it to partner link, this partner link name, and what is the operation? Greetings operation. That means the user have invoked the greetings operation. For the same operation you are giving the information back, right? But before that, what you have to do? You have to initialize output variable v. For that we have one more command. You have to call something called assign activity. You can give some name here. Okay. But inside the assign activity, you have several operations. Yeah, several operations. Okay. Assign means from one source to target. So what is the source? What is the target here? Input v is the source. Output v is the target. Okay. So this can be. I mean, there are a couple of operations inside the assign activity. Those are copy operation, append operation, delete operation, replace operation. There are so many things, right? So now we have to copy value from one variable to another variable, right? We need to copy one variable to another variable. So that is the reason I use the operation copy here. What I use? Operation copy. And in the same way, what other operations you have? Append operation, delete operation, replace operation. There are so many, and there are 3-4 other operations. But mostly we use copy operation from when you want to copy the data from one variable to another variable. Alright? And here inside the copy you have something called from and to. Okay? From and to. And I will tell you the from. And from can be an expression, right? A variable, an expression, and some constant, XML fragment, right? So first here in our situation, what you say is you need to copy it from the variable, right? Whatever the user gives, you need to copy it to the same to the output variable. So it is a variable that you are copying. Let us say sometimes you want to put some constant values. Okay, so let us say hello world. Okay, whatever the user gives, and you want to copy the same thing, hello world. Okay, then what you have to use? You have to use the expression. Okay. Now I would like to say that what do you want me to do? So the input is coming some name, and what do you want me to do? You want me to reply with the same name, or you want to say that hello world, just hello world? First we will say just hello world. Okay, is it a constant or is it a variable? Hello world. It's a constant. Constant has to go with the expression. Expression is equal to expression. And what expression you want to give? Hello world. Okay, hello world is a string constant, right? And string constant again single quotation. Say that hello world. And this is the from, right? From is done. Okay, and now to where we have to do? To the, we cannot, right side it cannot be a constant, right? Right side can be a variable, right? So what I do is variable. What is a variable? Output v. Alright, and is this variable, what type of variable you are using? Is it a simple variable or message type variable, or is it a element type variable? Tell me what type of variable it is. It is a message type. If it is a message type, a message can be of multi-part, right? Can be of multi-part. Okay. Then if the variable is a message type, you have to use something called part. So tell me what part we are using inside the message. Go to the visual back. What is the part you are using? Payload. There can be other part, right? So in the response message, what part you are populating? Payload part. You have to give that part name here. Payload. And now you have to give something called query. query is nothing but the XPath. Query is nothing but the XPath. Now, can you give me the XPath for hello response variable? What is the XPath? I'll write another notepad. So, what is the object here? Slash say hello rest slash, what do you have? It is just say hello response, right? Do you have element here? Where is the XSD? Is this the XSD? What is the complex type? You have result, right? Inside this you have result, right? The XPath is result. And tell me what is the namespace prefix? Obj colon right? And this obj has to declare inside the Beeple process. Is it declared somewhere here? Right. Can I use obj? Yes. So tell me what is the XPath? Now say hello response slash result. And why is the say hello response? Because it has the root element of the variable name. What is the root element for this actually? The variable name. That means output V is the root element. Okay. If you use a slash, it goes to output V, and after that you have say hello response. So now my XPath, lies like this. Now what I am doing? Query is what I am doing? Query say hello response to the result. So what I am doing? I am copying a constant hello word to where? To output variable. Inside the output variable, what part? Payload. And inside the payload you have the XML structure, right? What is the XML structure? Say hello response and the result. Okay. And after initializing, by this what it has happened? The output variable has initialized. And after initializing, I am sending that variable. Okay. For sending that variable, what activity I am using? Reply activity. So now you see the whole Beeple process. So you have the process, okay, and you have to declare the target namespace for the Beeple process and declare all the namespace prefixes that you would be requiring, okay, and then immediately you are defining partner links and then variables, then the sequence. Inside the sequence, as of now we are not worried about the scope, and we have 3 activities. What are those? Receive, assign, reply. And the receive activity, it is receiving, that means it is listening an operation. What is the operation? Greetings of a particular partner link type, okay, and it has a role also, and what is the role name and everything is declared here, okay, and or whatever the input it is given, and it is the input will be captured in a variable by name input V. So you have to declare a variable input V with the message type, and variable can be declared with the message type, element type, or the symbol type. Alright, if it is a message, then you have to give the message name. If it is an element, give the element name. If it's a simple, then XSD colon string or whatever it is. Okay, that's how you can declare the variables. Now I have declared 2 variables for 2 message types. One is the response message, one is the request message, and whatever the user gives the input, I am capturing in the input variable. Okay, and then I am writing the output variable. Okay, this is how the whole thing looks like. Okay, but you don't have to do it, and the whole thing, your Beeple process will be doing it. So this is the Beeple process that we have opened, right? Okay, this is the Beeple process that we have created, right, with the based on the wisdom. Now you see this .ref.wisdom. Okay, what it is doing? It is importing the main wisdom, that means this wisdom, and what it is doing? It is creating the partner link type. Okay, partner link type, it is given with the PLNK namespace, PLNK namespace is XML and SOAP org, and this is it. That means it is not specific to Beeple. Okay, is it specific to Beeple? No, because it is given by XML and SOAP.org, not by the Beeple. Okay, it's not specific to Beeple, and people, this is, if this is a business process, then it is specific to Beeple. Okay, it is not specific to business process. Okay, so but people may use it in a different way. Okay, it will still be both the this thing is given by so XML and SOAP.org, and this is also given by XML and SOAP.org. Okay, and people who has developed XML and XML SOAP.org has developed the specification for Beeple, right? And the same people had developed it for PLK, and there are some other specification for orchestration. They will also use PLK. Okay, but for now we use it for Beeple. Now we have defined the partner link type, and just the partner link type that it is say hello, and the role name is say hello I role. It is putting as a interface role, and I am giving the port type. Okay, so in the role what I have, the port type. Role ultimately maps to your port type. Okay, and go to your Beeple, go to the source, see what is happening. So you have the name and you have the namespaces. Don't worry in this, and you have a TNS target namespace, or for the say hello Beeple, what do you have? Do you have a namespace? No. And never ever create NS1. What it is? Service. So here also you have to change it as service. Service. Alright, and immediately you will also create something called OBJ also, right? You will be using it, right? OBJ also. So that is the reason, try to create your namespace prefix as OBJ also. Immediately you can create, and now you will not be able to see NS1, NS2, something like that. You will be able to see OBJ like this. And what is the target namespace? It is a Beeple, this thing. So can we give some namespace for this? What is the namespace? I would give it as XMLNS :BPL. Where it is? Oh, client. It is there as a client, right? So yes, you can use the client, but BPLS, you can use the client actually. Client is already there, and you can use the client means within the same, right? And after defining all the namespaces, what is doing? Is doing the partner links, and see the partner link name, and is just using the SI. And what is the partner link type? Say hello type. And where it is there? It is there in the ref.xsd. Where it is the ref? In this you have, right? Isn't it? Okay. And now what it is happening? And inside this partner link, what is doing? Giving the partner link. Is it giving my role or the partner role? It is giving the my role. And come back here, you have the variable and the message types. You have two variables, and after that see the receive activity. What is the partner link it is referring to? The SI partner link and service internal. And what is the port type? Inside this partner link, what is the port type? It is a service port type. And what is the operation? This thing. And what is the variable? Inc variable. And you have something called create instance. Yes. Okay. That means when you create instance, from this point you should systematically record the log in a dehydration store. Okay, when you say create instance, yes, what it will do? From this point, what does that mean? Immediately you receive. That means for every new request, what does it do? For every new request, it will create a new instance. Okay, and after that you are just giving the output variable. Okay, and where is the other activity? We are not initializing the output value, right? Have we? No, we will do in the graphical mode. Okay, so in this we can just drag and drop assign, and the name I will say assign output. Okay, and just double click this, and it has several operations. See what all operations? Copy, append, insert after, insert before, copy list, remove, rename. So by the name implies you can understand the definition. Append means there is existing XML. Let us say you have the student list, already it has 5 students, and you can start appending another students. And insert after, insert before is the same, but it is just that it will be inserting a new student after a particular student, and that's the same way. And copy list means again you have left hand side also you have one list, right hand side also you have one list, and it will copy a list from one list to another list. And remove means you have student list, you have 5 students, you can remove a student by the student name or the student number from the XML. And the rename operation is a new thing actually, and you can rename the element itself. It is not the name of the student. You can rename the element, which is tedious. You can rename. That option is here in the new version, but people are not using it. Okay, which is very dangerous. Renaming the XML element, which is very dangerous because it has to come through the XSD, right? So if you rename in the XML, that is no one accepts it, right? And you need it in a very special situation, and at least I have not used it. Okay, now we'll use the only copy operation. When you use the copy operation, you have from and to. And from, what you can do? From can be a variable, it can be expression, or it can be, you can write the whole XML fragment and you can put it. Okay, that's what the XML fragment. XML fragment means, whatever the XML you want to write, you can write it in the notepad, saying that student list and then student. You write the whole XML. Okay, you write the whole XML and just copy it to a variable. Okay, that is what an XML fragment. Okay, so there are 3. There is one more thing called partner link also, but we would not use it. Okay, as of now, what I use? Expression. And what is the expression I use? Hello world. Okay, so do you want to concatenate the name of the person and say hello world? You want to do that? Okay, for that I can actually use something called the expression builder. It is the expression builder. Okay, and the function that I can use, XPath function, is concat. Okay, I would say hello world, and after that the name of the person. And what is the name of the person? Where it is stored? It is there in the input variable. Okay, for getting that, there is one more function called get input variable. It will take 3 parameters. See that? I'll just say okay here, and then I will explain it here, otherwise it will hang. So we have another XPath function saying that get variable data. If you use the just variable, you don't need to give the get variable data, but you are using the expression. Inside the expression, if you want to use the variable, then what you have to use? Get variable data, and it takes 3 parameters, as it does variable name, part name, and the XPath. So is it the same XPath that we thought about? Okay, now is it putting obj? Is it putting ns1, ns2? No, it is putting obj, because we have already given obj namespace prefix inside your process. So that is the reason it uses the namespace, same namespace. It will not recreate, right? So So that is the reason the best practice is immediately after you create the process, go there and create all namespace prefixes. Okay. In real time, if I see any namespace prefix by name ns1, ns2, ns3, straightforward I would reject it. Okay. So now this is there. Now to where you want to give, is it a variable or the expression now? This is the variable. Since it is a variable, I don't have to use get variable data. Okay, I can use just the variable, and then where I have to give. See this. Now the XPath is already built for you. Okay, just say OK, apply and OK, and go to the source. This is what important. See that from variable expression, it is just that I am concatenating hello and then the name of the person, so that if I give the name Sanari, it will give hello Sanari, right? And to where it is going, see, from it is the expression, to it is the variable name of, see, if it is a expression, we are using the same three parameters, right? Name of the variable, this is what? Part name, and this is the query, x query or XPath, right? So the same three parts you have: variable name, part name, and the query. And the query is the XPath, right? To where it is assigning to the output variable. And after that, what I am doing? I am doing the reply output to the same partner link and the port and the operation. This time variable. Do you have create instance? Yes or no here? No. So create instance applicable for only the receive activity. That means each time you receive a new request, a new instance will be created. That means you can track the instances differently for each request, right? So that, let us say that a customer is given, the invoice information, right? That need to be created in the target database. For each invoice, one instance will be created, right? So if we say that what happens to this invoice number, we can go to only that particular instance and see what is happening. Okay. For that reason, for each receive activity, I would say create instance, yes. Okay. And now we'll just deploy it. And for deploying, I will show you just the right click on the project, say deploy, say hello, and deploy to the application server. And here is the revision number you have to give. Okay, and it is not that the revision number we have given in the composite it will take the same. No, you have to give the revision number here. Okay, and then override the composite if it is already there. And what is the composite name? Say hello. So it is very much possible, in at least in our case, that the say hello is already there. This thing. So I am going to replace it. So that is the reason I say override. And next, here are the application server connections. I already have the connection, but I will show you how to create a new connection, right? So plus, what is the connection name is SOA-1 connection. Okay, and inside this, it is a WebLogic connection, right? Say next, and give the WebLogic user ID password. Alright, say next, and here you have to give the hostname and all. And this server is running on linux1.com, and that is already configured in your drivers. Drivers, go to etc hostname, open with a notepad. This linux1 and linux1.com is already configured here. Okay. And the IP address is, local IP is this one, okay, and you will be given with a public IP address, so you can access it from home also. So open your host file and put these entries, okay, and after that, so that I can use linux1 or the linux1.com, right? What I want to use, I will use linux1.com, and this server is running on 7001 port. Okay, and the domain name is, it is SOA domain or base domain? This is the base _. domain. Alright, in this domain there is one SOA server running. The SOA server name is, SOA is a managed server. The server name is SOA underscore server 1. First test the connection and everything will be successful, and then say next, finish. Now I am selecting the connection which I have created right now. Next it will display the SOA server name, because inside your domain there might be more than one managed server and there might be more than one SOA server, right? So that is the reason it will give the server name here. Okay. So it is taking some time. It is yeah, server is on only. Test was successful, right? Okay, network line or not like. It's almost done, right? We'll just deploy, test and go. Well, leave it for the day. We'll go for the day. Okay? And this is a typical JDeveloper problem. Oh, it has come, thanks. Okay, so it is a typical JDeveloper problem. So I can still use the same thing. Now it has come in SOA server 1. It's intermittent problem, don't worry about that. It's just an intermittent problem, and it has a managed server SOA server 1, and just deploy it. Alright, and this will be deployed on the server. And make sure you cannot what happened? No wire. Alright, thanks. So now wire is there. Right. So there are wire within the problem. So it is first time it will ask for the user ID password. Go to the deployment, it will show you whether it is deployed or not. And see this is going to generate a file by name, by this particular name. So it is going to generate a jar file with this particular name. See that you have REV version 1.1 and your version is stored here in the file name. In 11G your version is stored here in the file name. Even if you change inside the composite, that may not take effect. That was a bug actually. Thinking 11.104, I think they might have fixed it. Okay, but at least here you have to go by this. And when you compile this, after compile this file will be generated. So where it will be generated? Go to your project directory. This is your project directory, right? Okay, this is your application directory inside the project directory, and inside the project directory you have something called deploy, and there will be a jar file. Okay, and you can actually deploy this jar file directly from the console. Okay, I will show you the other way also. Let me check. Now the deployment is finished. It is already deployed. After the deployment is done, you have to go to the EM console. You have to go to the EM console. So for that, http linux 1.1 this thing give 7001/el. Okay, just say enter and give the user ID password, and the domain is a base domain, and this thing is already records the password. Once you get into the SOA EM, and expand the SOA, it will show you the SOA infrastructure, and inside this it will show you all the deployed composites. What was the composite name for this? Say hello. This is the composite name, right? And go to the EM console. Where is the composite? Can you go PQ or yes, say hello. It is deployed as version 1.4. Click this, it will take some time. Okay, here itself you have something called test. You can do it from there. Okay, first I will show you two ways. So first test here, and it will show you the WSDL file actually, from where the WSDL is coming. Just note it separately. Okay, and if you just scroll down, you can give a value here. Okay. Just change it to XML view and give a value here. See, is it same as that we were doing it from the SOAP UI? Same, right? Give the value here. Scenario. What it should display? Hello scenario. Just text web service. Displays hello scenario. Right? And this is not the right way of doing it. Basically, testers will not have the direct access to this EM console. So what they have to do is they have to do it in the SOAP UI. First, you copy the WSDL URL, and you would be required the WSDL URL only until it creates the project. After creating, it will not even care about this, right? So just copy the URL, say hello. Alright, you can save the project. So, and I'm storing in something called SOAP UI project, hello project. Okay, and it has the interface. Interface is what? Your port type, and after that operation, after that the request. And here in the request, if I say ABCD, and this is forming the SOAP request, right? Is it forming the SOAP request? If I say this, it will say hello ABC, right? And there is one more way of doing it. This is the endpoint, right? That means endpoint is running on 8001. You just go copy paste this endpoint and put it in the browser. Put it in the browser. You should be able to get the UI for that. And this Babel engine provides that facility, and it is based on the HTTP GET method or the HTTP POST method. So is it a GET method or POST method that we have requested? GET method. So at the POST method to accept the payload, at GET method it will reply the UI. Okay, and say it will be, and here you can say there is invoke, and it will show you the response hello. Alright, this is how it shows. And you can say go to the return to a thing, again you can test. And if you have multiple operations, it will show you multiple operations. And this UI is prepared by your Babel engine. Okay, if you copy paste the endpoint, it will show you the UI. Alright, how many ways you can invoke? From the test console, from the SOAP UI, from the endpoint, from the browser. Right? There are 3 ways. Okay, it's up to you what way you like it. Okay, so now this is one simple thing how you can create a small Babel process and how to do that. Any questions?
When we are saying create instance, it is going to show you.
Alright, so basically we want to see what happened to my instance, right? So how many times we have requested? Almost 3-4 times, right? 3 times. There might be, go to the say hello again, and here you have something called instances, and you can search for the instances. So it will search, and if you down, there are number of instances. Okay, so you can actually scroll down, and this is there are the instances actually 40, 41 and 42, right? So if I click 42, it pops up, and first where it has come to say hello service. Is it a service? And then next component, right? And what component we were using? Beeple component. There was a wiring, right? Since there was a wiring, you are able to pass that information here. And now it has the composite instance ID. What was the composite instance ID? 1000042. And in a similar way, a component may also have the instance ID. Okay, the composite instance ID is different, component instance ID is different. But you have the composite ID, then you can drill down to component. So now this is showing the component as a composite. It is not showing the component. So now if you click on this one, now it is showing the composite instance ID, right? And see, this is the instance ID of your Beeple, component ID, and 42 was the instance ID of your component. And inside this, go to the flow, and what happened? First it has received, then assigned, then replied. Tell me what it has received. It has received say hello request BBB, and then it has initialized the output. It's just not showing, and there is a configuration parameter. If you set, it will show. And then what it has done? It has replied. What it has replied? Hello. Right? And or else if you can go to the edit trial view, it's just the two different views. Edit trial shows in this view and in the kind of XML, and there is a configuration parameter. If you configure that, it will show value for the assign also, but now it is showing only for the input and output. Okay, and this is one view and the flow is one view. Okay, if there are any issues, it will be false. Okay, and this is just for the latest instance. And if you want to go to other instance, if you click on 41, it may be AAA, right? What is the payload you have? It is ABCD. So this way you can track what happened to my order, what happened to my customer, or what happened to my invoice, or whatever it is. You can say that this is where it has errored out, and there was an error, or it has replied, or whatever it is. If customer come back say that I have not received anything, you can show the evidence saying that it has replied. Okay, good. So this is the way how you can say this thing. And you have the edit level settings. You can go to there and you can say that. And if you want to see them in the raw XML, it will show internally. It maintains in this way. It has every activity has an event. Each event has an event ID, right? And inside the event, it will maintain the message ID, and it show the status, and it says that the status the message is well completed. Internally, it has some mechanism to track all this information. In that way, it will store the information, right? So it will store a new instance of Beeple initiated, or say hello, whatever it is. It's a composite instance, right? And it has the date and time. That's the reason it is able to show you the date and time. So when you say it is showing the date and time here, right? Okay, how it is able to show you the date, and everything it is showing in the edit trial, and it will store in this format: event SID, and the date, format, and the type of the event, and all this kind of information it will be stored. Okay, and this is the internal mechanism. So if you open the schema, dehydration store schema, you will be able to see the information like this. Okay, and whatever the information you have received, you will be able to capture that in this format, in the C data. Okay, and how to view the source for this? So it has a source, not the selection source. It has view source.
Page.
Let's see,
Need to
there's
save
something. Let's share something. So open with so now we can show you here. Okay, so it has big this thing. From here you can capture the data and you can give it to the user what it has required and everything. Okay, if you this the same thing you can able to browse through a database table. It has cube instance. There is a table name by name cube instance, and there are some columns with that. You can query the cube instance table with the instance ID, and then it will give you all the information. So you can connect to the database schema of the dehydration store. Select ASCII from cube instance where instance ID is the instance ID that you have, and we fetch all the data. Okay. Otherwise, you can go to the admin EM console, capture this, and saying copy this to your client saying that this is what happened internally. I mean, is it a systematic logging or not? Systematic logging, right? So when you are using SOA people, you don't have to worry about the logging, and it's automatically done, right? Okay. Any questions?
The instance is created when we are creating instance here. How the metadata store for which is going to be stored?
What
It is going to be storing in dehydration store.
Yes.
That means swap files, tar files are going to be stored in
No. The SOAIntro, the BPEL process, the composites are going to be stored in the SOAIntro. And if you are using any jar file, that means if you are calling the ADF these things, and that will be stored in a jar file, that will be deployed on a metadata store. Metadata store is the concept of WebLogic, right? And if you want to store common XLDs, common visuals, there you have to use metadata store, right? But these composites and all this will go into SOAIntro schema, not MDS schema. See the EM console, na? Where it is showing? It is showing in the SOAIntro. The composites that you have deployed, it goes into the SOAIntro. But if you deploy an ER file, an EJB, where it goes? It goes to the metadata. If you deploy EJB, it goes to metadata. If you deploy ADF, it goes to metadata, MDS. If you deploy composite, it goes to SOAIntro. Okay? Alright? చూద్దాం కనిపిస్తుంది కాంప్లికేషన్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్
I think